Hello, it is Puree by the way, and I am back. There is some background noise per usual. Maybe one day we'll have that fixed. But yeah, so I apologize for that. Hopefully the music will kind of drown it out. But other than that, we are going to be talking about old school essentials, because as you can see, I got one of my old school essentials right now on, and I've been wanting this for so long, and I think I need to trim some of the bangs and stuff. I just put this on, so I apologize if it looks kind of whack. I kind of wanted to make a video talking about old school essentials because I think I've kind of talked about what was on my wish list, and some of these things I don't have yet, but I figured that a lot of the people that watch my channel are interested in like old school or punk or proto Lolita or more of the simplified or early 2000s or even like early 2010s things. So I kind of wanted to talk about what I believe is essential in creating an old school wardrobe. Obviously you don't need these things, like this is purely up to you. I just think that like if you want to get the old school look as efficiently as possible, I feel like these could come in handy. By the way, there is a link to Cynical Neo-Princessism's blog down below that talks about how to kind of get the old school look. So some of the things that I mentioned might be also on that blog. I haven't really read it in like a while, but I definitely have read that in the past and took a lot of inspiration from it. It's very informative, so I highly recommend you read that as well. But I'm going to tell you some things that at least I found to be most essential, or I want to get in the future that I don't have yet, that I think would really complete my wardrobe. So number one, I'm just gonna go off the top with what I just received. What I'm wearing right now is a ringlet wig. I know that in the blog that I just told you about, they talk about this wig specifically, the maple wigs. I would like to give you other sources for where you can get wigs, but to be quite honest with you, I couldn't find any other wigs that were like really high quality and these kind of tight ringlets. I found Lolita wigs that have a little bit of curl, which I own already. I found some that have some little bit of ringlet, but they're not as tight. I just couldn't find any that were like exactly what I wanted, which is what I'm wearing right now. But Maple Wigs are a Japanese brand, and you can only buy them via a shopping service. But if you would like to get one and you do not know how to use a shopping service, I can recommend you to a video that I made a little while ago about how I use my shopping service. That's pretty simplified. It's called Japan Shopping Service, very straight to the point. It's got very low service fees and they're very, very good. I've never had an issue with them, so I highly recommend that. That's how I got this wig. But yeah, Maple Wigs was having a sale, and I actually got this on sale for like 4,800 yen, and I think it's usually like 5,800 yen, around that or something. And they had it in black, I believe dark brown, and then blonde, and I've always wanted a blonde wig because I don't own a blonde wig, so that's what I went for. So I believe this is a great staple because it's just extremely dolly, of course. If you are somebody who doesn't mind the comments when people say, oh, little Bo Peep, and you actually like it because it's a compliment, I find it a compliment. I'm like, oh, she's really cute, so thanks. Then you'll probably like a wig like this. It's also extremely old school. Like if you look at any of the old print advertisements for brands, they have ringlet wigs. But yeah, I just think that it makes the style look so cute and fits the dolly-ness and cuteness of Lolita, so that is a good essential. Number two would definitely be investing in headdresses like these. There are other types of headdresses, like what I was going to suggest that I haven't got yet, but I feel like would be a very cute one, is like these bodyline ones. Basically just headdresses that are very frilly. Even like a soft bonnet. I really want a soft bonnet someday. I haven't been able to get myself to spend the money on one because they are kind of expensive at the moment and hard to find. But if anything, I'd recommend getting the headdresses like these, the rectangle headdresses. Some people call them maxi pad headdresses because they look like that, I guess. It's just like a funny slang term in Lolita. I'm sure you've heard of it. I would recommend getting one of those because that is kind of what people view as like the old school look. Obviously, it's also used in modern Lolita as well. But I think that it's probably your best bet at getting a very versatile headpiece that fits really well with old school. I hand make a lot of mine, so you can do that, or you can buy them from like Baby, or even Bodyline sells them for pretty cheap, and people sell them on Lace Market for pretty cheap, so I'd recommend that. And I would recommend purchasing all of your items within, depending on, like, I hate to be the person to be like, oh, pick a color scheme, because you totally don't have to. Like, I think that's stupid. Like, pick whatever you like. But if you want something, or like, okay, I want something that's gonna go with like most of my stuff, I really recommend going for black and white, because you can have like a pink dress and you can wear black and white accessories with it and black shoes, and it could be really balanced out. And I don't know, I feel like black and white just really are like so old school in everybody's mind. And like, I'm just really biased because I like those colors. So do what you will with that. I also would say for accessories, invest in like crosses or necklaces of that sort. If you don't like crosses, then obviously you don't have to. But think of like more of like a little bit of a little gothicness to the accessories. It's not a necessity, and again, it definitely depends on what you're going for. But I feel like Sweet Lolita, old Sweet Lolita, had a little bit of a twinge of gothic, because you know, it's like coming out of like gothic Lolita, and it's just got a little bit more of a like edginess to it. So it's like very sweet, but not in the sweet way of 2010 sweet, but in the sweet way of like, I'm like a doll that doesn't take shit. So think of that when you're thinking about getting accessories. For blouses, I recommend getting blouses that are detachable sleeves, because this kind of like silhouette is very old school and also versatile. It's very versatile, and it just offers a lot more, I don't know, uniqueness to what you're wearing, and it gives a very dolly look. And basically when I think of old school, I think of extremely dolly things. So that's what I would go into if you're like not sure on if something looks old school or not. Think about like, does this look like it would be on a Victorian doll? Because that's kind of the vibe I always get. But another kind of blouse that's what I really, really want and haven't gotten yet is like the sausage sleeves, I know people call them. I don't know actually the technical term, but very similar silhouette to the detachable sleeve, but it's like sheared or shirred in certain parts of the arm, and usually in the waist part of it too. It is beautiful, and usually the collars are like super extravagant. I'm wearing a Bodyline one. It's got Rochelle lace on it. I don't care about that. Some people do, but when talking about lace, Rochelle lace wouldn't necessarily be wrong. But again, it's up to you. But I would say that if you are weary of that and you're just starting out, if the safest bet is going for crochet. Crochet lace will always be the safest bet. It's going to look extremely high quality, extremely expensive looking, and it just looks very like extravagant in comparison to Rochelle lace. So even though Rochelle lace may be like to the time period kind of accurate in some cases, so is crochet lace, and it's way safer if you do not know or feel confident or anything of that sort. So that's what I would recommend. Look at crochet lace if you are purchasing something or if you are going to make your own thing. As for dresses and skirts, the silhouette for old school is not the same silhouette as what most people would argue is the Lolita silhouette. So it doesn't have a giant cupcake shape like if you have never gotten too deep into Lolita, you would probably see most people say, what makes something Lolita is the defining silhouette. That's this big poofness. And yes, that is true for certain styles, but for old school, a small petticoat that's usually more like A-line or bell shaped sometimes, but it's not a lot. And sometimes it's not even any petticoat. And the look of that, I kind of love the look because I feel like it makes the silhouette more interesting. But again, that's up to you. But if you are going into old school, like say you were a sweet Lolita who's very much into modern sweet AP stuff, I would highly say do not wear the like 5-6 layer petticoat that you have, because it's going to look a little off. It's not going to give the effect of old school. So you might be wearing like, say you wear one of the classic series from Baby that could offer more poof or something of that sort. It's going to read more like traditional Lolita, which again, that's fine, but I'm just saying that this as a guide for like trying to be more authentic old school, I would stick to less petticoat. As well as like skirts usually had built-in petticoats, same with some of the dresses. So you don't even necessarily need to put a petticoat on, or if you do, honestly the Leg Avenue petticoats work pretty decently for a little bit of a poof if you want one. So sounds very odd to say that because most people say don't do that, but it's the beginnings. This is how it started. For legwear, under the knee socks for sure. I always tell people to wear under the knee socks. The best thing about that is the fact that they're usually more common to find, I believe, like in your everyday store. So if you wanted to make your own, which I do, and I've always talked about making a video about it, and I haven't really had the time, but one day I will. You just kind of like get like a nice crochet lace and then gather that lace on the top of some underneath socks, and it's like the perfect simple old school leg wear. Or you can just wear simple tights as well, but under the knee socks were a lot more common than over the knee socks, which is a different comparison as to modern Lolita. But I do believe under the knee socks are coming back, or at least a lot of like tall Lolitas are wearing their over the knee socks that usually were like under the knee socks for them, and they're not like afraid of that anymore because showing your knees on Lolita used to be a very taboo thing. And then again, I would probably just stick with white or black because it's just very versatile, very easy, very simple. I guess like the best way I can describe like old school is like simple yet elegant, which sounds very odd, but it's like less prints focus and more like details of the actual structure of the garment. So like the pin tucks, the type of like crochet in the lace, the type of silhouette it's creating, the shirring on it, you know, it's like the way that it's constructed, and usually also the quality of things, but it's never usually focused in comparison to like what modern stuff's focused on. And then for shoes, I know that they talk about this in the blog, but like a pair of just like plain Mary Janes, kind of like these ones. So these are like platform Mary Janes that I literally got like 7 years ago now, almost. It will be 7 years very soon. And I got those from AliExpress, by the way, and they're still holding up, and I've worn those for 7 years. But I also have Doc Martin Mary Janes, which are like very, very good, especially when you want something that's going to last forever. I mean, somehow those AliExpress ones have lasted for a very long time, but I would suggest if you want a very, very high quality shoe, like if you are somebody who really needs a lot of support, look into the Dr. Martin ones. I highly suggest them They have a bunch of different styles for them, so there's that. I know that some people get like the Cara, I think it's called, um, Cara Dolly, or one of those kinds of demonias. I thought about getting them. I'm still unsure, maybe someday, but those are a good old school shoe to use as well. But platformy like kind of Mary Janes are like awesome. Of course, rocking horseshoes, and yeah, I would just say like think of platforms or like and like simple stuff. Not tea parties so much, because tea parties didn't really come into existence until a little bit later in the 2000s. So and it's a little bit more of a different style, but it's probably easier this way anyways. Purses and bags, tote bags for sure. With like a cute graphic or something like that. Like a lot of brands like Meta and stuff made really cute ones. Milk Chan, that's a really cute little pouchette to wear. I always have Usakunya, even though Usakunya is not technically old school at all, but I love her and she matches the look very well. But definitely not old school. And like big heart bags is what I usually go for, but tote bags are like the best one, I feel. And yeah, that's probably all I can give you for right now, but thank you for sticking with me, and I'll see you later. Bye.